Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Immergence Show. I'm so excited for our conversation today because we're going to be flipping the script on the typical metaverse narrative. We're going to talk about something far more immediate, practical, and frankly, profitable. We're talking about the great reversal, the idea that the future isn't about us going into a digital world, but about AI finally coming into ours. Our guest today is a true expert in this space, coming from a fascinating background in behavioral engineering and now leading a company that is delivering real world ROI with the spatial computing. Please get your questions ready, tag a friend or colleague who needs to hear this, and give a warm welcome to the CEO of Auki Labs, Nils Pihl. Hi, Nils. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. Greetings
Thank
from
you so
Helsinki.
much. Yes, thank you for joining us. We appreciate you. Welcome to the show. And I'm so excited to hear about your journey. You know, you had a fascinating and unconventional path to becoming a tech CEO. Um, I have seen in your background from behavioral engineering, mimetics, merging psychology with game theory. So I think it would be great for our audience to kind of hear the more deeper story of what brought you to build Auki.
So I was very lucky to have tech entrepreneur parents that made sure that I had a computer from a very young age. So I had my first computer in my room when I was maybe 5 years old. And as a result, I grew up on the internet. My English is actually better than my native Swedish. Because I spent so much time online with my friends and doing competitive gaming and reading sci-fi. And I'd say that my career kind of started as a teenager, as a competitive gamer. I played, for those of you old enough to remember, I played a game called Ghost Recon. And Ghost Recon was a very interesting shooter game. It was interesting because shooting was very difficult in Ghost Recon. There was a big penalty for movement. As soon as you moved, it was hard to hit anything. So it created an environment where you had to strategize about your movement and placement. And I found this so fascinating that I started developing behavioral models of how people played this game, and then got recruited by a clan, a team, to teach them about these behavioral models. And we ended up winning 4 consecutive seasons using predictive modeling of how people behave in online games. And this gave me my first couple of mentors that gave me 2 pieces of advice that I took and several pieces of advice that I didn't take. But the 2 pieces of advice that I took was I should join the army for a while to grow up and not be a gamer boy anymore, and also go study philosophy to turn my hunches about behavior into something more formal. Ian Harrison asked if I did that on the Nintendo 64. Ian, no, I did that on the Mac, actually, on the Game Ranger multiplayer platform. So I was playing on the Mac in the early 2000s. So after joining the army and studying philosophy for a while, I dropped out of college to get back into software. Long story short, by 2009, I had ended up in Beijing, China, running a cyberpunk consultancy together with a friend. Our first customer was Arizona State University and the sensory motor research group there, where we helped them build an intracortical neural interface, meaning connecting the wetware, like connecting the brain of a non-human primate to a computer game back in 2009. So a cool 10 years before Elon did the same demo. And we used that money to start another startup in Beijing, focusing on behavioral analytics. I was so fascinated with behavior and meme theory and how do behaviors spread through cultures and spread through online communities and spread in multiplayer games. So we wanted to build a tool that helped track memetic propagation. And fast forward a bit, I end up through a failed acquihire as the director of data at the world's third largest mobile operating system, based in Hong Kong, where I live today, and only lasted there for 1 year, just like with my academic studies, until I fell into the spatial computing rabbit hole. This was the very just before COVID, and I just discovered the tabletop game Warhammer, and I wanted to make augmented reality overlays for the tabletop game Warhammer, and didn't know anything about AR or spatial computing at the time, just really wanted to get into it, and ran into the problem that, oh my God, it turns out that the capability of AR is nowhere near what I imagined it would be. I had seen these amazing promo videos by Magic Leap and Niantic, and had an idea that was wildly incorrect of what you could and couldn't do with augmented reality. The big thing that I realized was missing was that it was very, very hard to create shared augmented reality experiences where you see the same thing in the same place at the same time. So when COVID hit, I decided to just lean on my autism for a while and try to solve that issue. And by 2021, we had invented the world's first instant calibration technique to get two handheld devices into the same coordinate system in a second instead of about 60 to 90 seconds, which is what it took to do shared AR on Niantic's or Snap's platforms at the time. And that allowed us to raise a very generous amount of money to build an open source, collaborative machine perception protocol, which is what we've been working on ever since. So today, Auki's mission is to make the physical world accessible to AI, because 70% of the world economy is still tied to physical locations and physical labor. So you can argue from first principles that the AI revolution can barely have begun yet, because things like ChatGPT are only effective for data that's on the internet, and the physical world is not on the internet. So how do you digitize the physical world and make the physical world AI accessible? That's what we work on at Auki today.
Wow.
So from competitive gaming to behavioral models to big data analytics to Warhammer AR to here.
Wow. Such a fascinating background, and I have a lot of questions. But before that, let's say hi to our amazing audience who are in the chat. Hi, Ian, Jean, Felipe, and everyone else. Some of the names are not showing for me, but please comment, let us know you're here, and tag your friends to join us live. This is going to be a fun conversation. Yes, as Jit says, super interesting conversation. Please put your comments, questions, and we'll get to them. Awesome. So I'm curious, from all of these different background and experiences that you had, what were some of those lessons learned or aha moments that kind of helped you land with the Auki's business idea?
I think the great disappointment that I refused to accept was that machines don't understand where they are, right? We are not confronted with that necessarily day to day because we have Google Maps that talks to the GPS, and it works well enough in the Western world to get you to your restaurant. Because the GPS has a few meters of accuracy, which is enough to get you to a restaurant. But, right, by this time I had moved to Asia, just spent 7 years in Beijing, and now I'm on my 7th year in Hong Kong. And the GPS is a line of sight technology. You actually need to have an unobstructed view of several satellites to be able to get good position, which means that GPS doesn't work and is never going to work indoors. And it doesn't work in what's called urban canyons, right? So what is an urban canyon? An urban canyon is somewhere in a big city like New York where the buildings are so tall that you may not see very much of the sky. Now, since I imagine there's a lot of Western listeners on this call, I want to just drop some crazy Asia stats here. New York is the biggest city in the West by a pretty wide margin, right? And New York has over 900 buildings taller than 100 meters, or that's 300 feet or something. So over 900 buildings, almost 1,000 buildings taller than 100 meters. But Hong Kong, where I live today, has over 4,000 buildings taller than 100 meters. And Hong Kong is really just one small part of an area called the Greater Bay, which is from Hong Kong through Shenzhen up to Guangzhou, an area around the Pearl River Delta. And for an American audience, this is about 2/3 the size of Greater Los Angeles. Like the distance from Hong Kong to Guangzhou is about the distance from Santa Monica to San Bernardino. But in this area is 87 million people. 87 million people in an area 2/3 of Greater Los Angeles. And there are more high-rise buildings there than all of North America and all of Europe combined. So systems like the GPS struggle, to say the least, in modern Asian cities. I would in fact be so spicy as to say that by the standards of this century, there aren't really any big cities in the West. All the big cities are in Asia. Tokyo is a cool 40 million people, and the Greater Bay, even though it's technically divided into 9 cities, again, it's smaller than Greater Los Angeles and has 87 million people. And these cities are very three-dimensional. You have to travel up, you have to travel down. Modalities like GPS and Google Maps just weren't going to carry us into the future. And it was upsetting to realize that this idea I had intuitively that, my phone just knows where it is wasn't true, right? My laptop does not know that it's to the right of my phone. It doesn't know any of these things. And that was going to hold back the future I imagined with AR glasses and robots and all of this. But then, made me realize, hold on, this is where the opportunity is. Someone has to build this. So that's something to do. But let's do that.
That's so interesting. That's fascinating. Like we didn't know how complex the situation is. So would you say you have solved this already, or is it work in progress, or other players are tackling it with different type of tools?
Every major player is tackling this to some degree, right? Okay. So all of the, what do you call them, the Magnificent Seven are building GPS replacing technologies today, typically in the form of visual positioning systems. And what a visual positioning system is essentially typically a cloud service where if you show the cloud service an image of what you're looking at, it will return the coordinate of where you are. So this is how your future AR glasses are going to work. But what's scary with this is, right, hold on, if we talk through this again, there's some cloud service where I show them what I'm looking at and they tell me where I am. So you're quite literally giving someone like Niantic the ability to know what you're looking at all times with AR glasses. And I realized by 2020, 2021, that this was the biggest threat to user privacy that we've faced as a civilization so far. The ability to know what people are looking at. And it's not just humans that are going to use visual positioning for their AR glasses. Last year, Elon Musk went on Lex Fridman's podcast And he was asked, what will it take to win the AI race? And Elon said it will take two things, right? You need to have the best compute. That's why he's building this big data center in Houston. And you need to have the best data. But all of the data on the internet is not enough to teach AI about the physical world. Luckily, he says reality scales. And then he said, Optimus, the humanoid robot that he's building, is going to be the greatest source of data in the world. So, just completely unembarrassed, telling the world on Lex Friedman's podcast, if you buy one of my robots, I will spy on you. And I thought that was a terrible destiny for civilization, and that we should try to build a more privacy preserving and dignity preserving solution. And also happen to believe that actually cloud computing is not fit for purpose. So there might be a way to build something that is both technically and ethically superior. And the reason why I thought it might be technically superior is that when you deal with the physical world, like with augmented reality or robotics, latency is just incredibly important. Latency is incredibly important. So
Right.
if it takes 100 milliseconds, your self-driving car can drive very far in 100 milliseconds, and your robot can swing its arm very far in 100 milliseconds, and you can experience a lot of drift in AR in 100 milliseconds. So you need incredibly low latency for anything that deals with the physical world, and the cloud is just not fit for that.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at like AR glasses, the latest, greatest AR glasses by Meta or Snap, they have like half an hour to an hour of battery. And the problem is that spatial computing is incredibly compute intensive, right? If you run Peridot, the new AR pet by Niantic, on a flagship Android phone, you will blow through that battery in 45 minutes, right? Spatial computing is incredibly battery intensive. So we imagined in 2021 that maybe the way to get to an all-day form factor for AR glasses is to move the spatial computing away from the glasses and let the spatial computing happen on another computer somewhere. But it can't happen on the cloud because the latency is too great. So what we started building was the ability for devices to connect to hyper-local compute resources on the edge, to offload both part of their spatial semantic reasoning to that machine, but also use that as an external sense of space where they can collaborate with other machines. And this is live today. X-Real is cool, absolutely. But Ian, does X-Real get 3 hours of battery if you're doing full AR with them? Do you know? Like if you ask them to
X-Real is not really doing AR in a way that is famous. Like it's more about magnifying your screen, right? That's what I saw at AWE.
Yeah, I don't think, Ian, I don't think X-Real can do 6 degrees of freedom slam for 3 hours. I think they can give you 3 hours of virtual display, which is super cool. I'm a big fan of X-Real, but they're not doing spatial computing in that sense. They're fantastic glasses, so today what the Auki network is a decentralized network of hyper-local visual positioning systems. So instead of Auki running a big visual positioning system, we let the venues themselves run hyper-local visual positioning systems. And we've built a protocol that allows visiting applications to borrow those VPSs. And that way, we feel that we can have a better performing product, but also we can reduce the privacy impact to privacy that we already lost with the invention of security cameras. The venue already knows that you're there, but we don't need to know, and Elon doesn't need to know. So if we let the venue run their own VPS, then we can minimize the privacy impact.
Interesting. Really fascinating stuff. And yes, we have a lot of comments and questions. So this idea is that we're going to basically have a community of nodes that will do the processing for us. Like, what is in it for them? Are they making money from the users? Are they making, like, what is the business model here?
So maybe I can tie it to Felipe's question.
Sure.
So Felipe is asking, how can a shared spatial map change the game for analytics? And it happens to be that's, the biggest selling point for our product offering right now. We have a product that we released earlier this year called Cactus, which is built on top of the Auki network, and it allows retailers to create an accurate spatial map of where their products actually are in the store. So like not according to some plan that HQ said, but where are the products actually, so that they can compare that to their sales data and for the first time see what the impact of moving products around has on sales. And to do this, right, we help the retailer set up one of these external senses of space, and then our Cactus application connects to that external sense of space. But so can other applications, like our shopper-facing navigation connects to the same external sense of space. And Felipe, you could build another third-party application that connects to that sense of space. Like if you wanted to do user reviews of physical venues and let people leave sticky notes, you could do that. And whenever a third-party application connects to one of these venues, the venue has the capability to monetize that virtual real estate, right? Because they're providing a service to the third-party developer, like, hey, we will give you a coordinate system that you can use for this. So we help facilitate that microtransaction. Yeah. John Yu is with, I know his startup. I forget the name. But yeah,
he does AR too.
Yeah.
I forgot the name. He was on the show as well, but yeah, really good stuff. Thank you, Ian, for tagging John, and thanks for the question and comment. Awesome. That's really fascinating. Did you want to show us anything, Nils, to just demonstrate
Sure,
the
show. The first part that the retailer will do, and they do this typically just with a phone, right, is we make it possible for them to reconstruct their store. So here's an example of a store that's been reconstructed. This was collaboratively reconstructed using several iPhones and Androids, made up of about 100 separate recordings, and it was done without any LiDAR input data. Like the input data here is actually only RGB and IMU, but it has a similar quality to what you would get from a LiDAR scanner. So once they have done this initial step, so they know the topology of the store, we then help them in a second step to create the correct spatial semantic positioning of where their products are, so that finally they can get cool heat maps. That's right, Elysium. Yeah, we've done work together, Ian. Shout out John if you're listening. Really hardcore entrepreneur, been at it for a long time. I actually met John for the first time at AWE. The first time I went to AWE, John was one of the first people to flag me down. It's like I think I know who you are. So shout out to John.
Amazing, such a small world. Thank you for sharing that. So can you share a little bit about kind of the ROI that these retailers have seen from this great work that you guys collaborated on?
Sure. So I would say that there are three main benefits that the retailers get. So the first is improved analytics, right? A better understanding of how their product placement decisions impact sales. And we're still kind of measuring what the impact of that is. So we don't know, other than saying the retailers are very excited to have this data, right? We'll see how much of an impact it ends up having. And probably it takes a while for them also to figure out how to best use the data, right? But the other two great benefits is once you have the true product locations, then you can do better navigation solutions. And I know that I certainly thought intuitively that, the killer feature for AR in retail is to do AR navigation for the shopper. That turned out to not be true, right?
Mm.
The killer feature was actually AR navigation for the staff member.
Right.
Right? Well, because it turns out that retail is some of the highest staff turnover in the world, right? In fact, just this year, you can calculate on the back of a napkin that Walmart will spend about 100 million US dollars on first day salaries. About $100 million this year on first day salaries. Someone that takes a job at Walmart today has a 70% chance of quitting before the end of the year. And they're, actually doing pretty well compared to many other retailers. So staff turnover is a big issue. And during COVID, click and collect became a lot more popular. So people started ordering their groceries online, and then someone has to pick that order up. So that's either a gig worker that is not familiar with your store and might end up spending a lot more time in the store than the retailer is very comfortable with. Or it's a staffer that will do it, in which case it's eating out of the margin on the order. And groceries actually just have a 1% to 3% margin, like very, very tight. So we demonstrated with our first enterprise client that we could reduce the walking distance for their staff by 40% when they were doing click and collect. And so this is obviously super meaningful for them. And it's worth noting that they actually already had a picking solution. So it wasn't like, oh, we didn't have anything. It's like, no, they had a picking solution, but their existing picking solution used the planogram as the source of truth of where products actually are. And it turns out that, most stores are not planogram compliant. So just having more accurate data about where the products are, but also a better spatial semantic understanding of what the store looks like, helped reduce walking distance by 40%. And then the third benefit and piece of ROI is that we make it possible for the retailers to leave notes and tasks for each other in shared augmented reality. That was the first thing that we released, actually, just like AR sticky notes for each other. Because as I went to intern for grocery stores to learn about what their pain points might be, like I believed that there would be something to do for retail, but I wasn't sure what. So I put on the apron and I pulled shifts at my local grocery store to learn more. I found that a lot of the day was just wasted with colleagues looking for colleagues. So we built out like an AR sticky notes feature, and we piloted that for the first time with a 50,000 square foot supermarket in Northern Europe. And they told us that it saved them at least 15 minutes per day per employee just on task handovers. And all of this is just with phones. Like, we're not even involving glasses yet, right? So just with the phone that's already in their pocket, they can save at least 15 minutes a day on handovers. They can reduce the walking distance of click and collect by 40%. And they can get a new data stream of where their products actually are in the store, so that they can now begin the journey of optimizing the shelves in a way they've never been able to before.
Wow, really fascinating. I would imagine Amazon, Whole Foods would love something like this. They're all about efficiency. They're all about, productivity. So I can't wait to see your products in their hands. Hopefully will help more humans have more time to rest in between the shifts. That's awesome. And how do you see robotics kind of be part of this? Is that far away in the future and not necessary right now? You had robots in your booth at AWE, but how do you think robots are part of this?
So robots are already a part of it. We've already integrated several robots into this protocol, both at the protocol level, but also at the application level. And to kind of explain like why you would need such a thing, I invite you to think about cleaning robots, for example. Like, you may have seen cleaning robots at some grocery stores already. You know, they drive around and they mop the floor. But if you were to spill a can of Coke on the grocery store, how come the cleaning robot doesn't come and clean it up? And how come you can't ask the robot to go clean up just that spill of Coke? Well, because it turns out that, you know, the robot did not see the Coke get spilled, and you have no way of communicating where the Coke got spilled. But once the robot and the phone or the glasses have a shared sense of space, then all of a sudden you can tell the robot using your phone, please come and clean here. So that's really meaningful. But also it makes it easier to have collaborative robotics, where if you have multiple cleaning robots, you don't have to set them up individually. If one of them breaks down, you don't have to set that up individually again, because they're all connecting to a shared external sense of space.
What have they been using before your solution? Were they connected to any other shared solution?
They were typically just running on a schedule, right? So the cleaning robot would run at a schedule and clean the entire store every time.
Blindly. Interesting. Wow, this is really making sense. I mean, I don't know why more people are not adopting it. Totally makes sense. And yes, we do have many comments and questions from Ian and Felipe. Obviously, Ian agrees with you on several levels and suggesting going to CES Shop Talk. I think I mentioned that as well. And Felipe is saying, for a brand, what is the long-term risk of building their spatial strategy on a centralized platform owned by a single tech giant?
I think there are a lot of things that are worth keeping in mind. So first of all, people like big retailers are very sensitive about their data. I learned this with my big data startup back in the day, that in fact many of them are so sensitive about like their product placement data that they're not even allowed to store it on a cloud. So forget giving us the data, right? Like, they need to be in full custody of their own data at all time, meaning we have to deploy on premise with them, or at least deploy with their preferred cloud provider with their keys, right? We cannot provide this as a service. They just don't want to, right? Felipe, our first enterprise client just signed up for 1,300 locations. As far as we know, there is no AR navigation solution that is even 100 locations today. So with a single customer, we frog leap the rest of the industry by an order of magnitude. And I think a real big reason why we were able to do that is we understood from our previous startup that, like, okay, this has to be completely self-hosted. We cannot make any claim on this data. We should not make it part of our business model to try to have this data. We should not tell our investors that we're going to have this data. This data belongs to the customer. Because of course, you know, retailers are worried about people like AWS that are also big in retail eating their lunch. And they have every right to worry about that. So I hope that answers your question, what a long-term risk could be. I think the risk is so great for many of these retailers that they're just not letting anyone in, because they don't want other people to know about their visual merchandising strategy. Like, the highest hurdle of due diligence that we had to clear with our first enterprise client was demonstrating that we did not have access to this data, because that was their most classified piece of data. Like, they were more sensitive about that than, you know, employee names and salaries. Like, it was really the most sensitive piece of data they have is how are we placing our products.
Wow. Really, really cool and helpful. What other use cases exist beyond retail that you are thinking of tackling or have already tackled?
I mean, in a way, all of them, right? 70% of the world economy is still tied to physical locations and physical labor. And Auki's goal is to be the layer that makes the physical world understandable to AI. But specific industries that we've looked at that we think can scale very quickly are things like security, facilities management, warehouse and logistics, hospitality. Tomorrow morning, we're doing our first beach club implementation. Like there's a lot of different things that you can do when you can put digital information in physical space. So I think our first 100 million in revenue is probably going to come from retail, and I'd say our next vertical of that size would probably be security or facilities management. One of our recent conversations was with a security company that is monitoring 40,000 locations, right? And a problem they have is also staff turnover. And when they send new security guards to these locations, there's training cost and efficiency cost and things taking longer on site than it should. But their customers don't typically have good maps that they can give them, because what customer does? I don't have a good map of my home. Certainly don't have I do have a good map of my office because I happen to work at Auki, right? But before working at Auki, I certainly didn't have a good map of my office. So for them, the ability to just go and map their venues with a phone that's already in the pocket or with their body cams, and allow that data to stay with their customer, right? So like they're not even going to have the data. The data will be staying with their customer, is very interesting for them. And, even at just $100 a month for us, for 40,000 locations, that turns out to be a very, very big contract, on the order of 40 million a year. And I think there are many contracts like that out there for facilities management and security. So a lot of our current inbound is from facilities management companies, real estate companies, and security companies. So that's something we're looking at very actively.
And it's as simple as a phone app to what would be the user experience, if you can walk us through it?
So we ask the customer to place reference markers, like road signs for robots, that help the phone app or robot app or glasses app understand which experience they're connecting to, which venue they're connecting to, and get the initial pose, not from GPS. Once they've placed those, that just takes a couple of minutes for a small site, or a few hours for something big like a supermarket. Then you just start filming and make sure that the video clips include at least 2 of those markers. And that allows the spatial AI to stitch the recordings together and turn multiple recordings into a shared understanding. So we've actually set up an entire supermarket in a single day, like show up in the morning, leave in the evening, and everything's fully set up, which is pretty cool. Like we didn't have a floor plan or anything like that to get us started, just permission to go in, place the markers, and start filming. And it was fully set up by the end of the day. And of course, we showcased that capability at AWE, where we had conference-wide AR navigation that we set up a couple of hours before it opened.
Wow. So does this need to be maintained? Do the staff need to keep scanning? Do they need to scan where the products are being put? And do you need information from the cameras too? What's next after that initial setup?
So after they've recorded the video, the next step is actually scanning the products in, because the video is not rich enough. There's no computer vision model in the world that knows what the 20,000 products in their store look like. So after they've created the shape of the store, they go and they scan in the individual products. And you can scan many dozens of products per minute. So again, you can do a full supermarket in a single day. And once you've done that step, really, it's kind of like maintaining an Excel sheet in AR after that. Like when you move a product, you start by selecting it in the app and say remove, right? So now it's no longer on the shelf, and the shelf resizes automatically to say what else is there, or give the other products more space. And when you move it, you go back into the AR view and you look at the product to the left or to the right of where you want to put it. You select it and you say insert to the right, place the product, scan the barcode, and you're done, right? So this is actually a workflow that we validated when we were wearing the aprons out in the store, because we found that whenever they move the products, they actually have to move the price tags. They typically assign a new price tag or print a new price tag if they're not using electronic price tags, which you've noticed is not very common in America, but very common in Asia and Europe. So we could just piggyback on the workflow of what they're already doing when they're replacing the price tags. So as they register the price tag with their retail phone, typically a Zebra phone or a Honeywell or something like this, we piggyback on that workflow and update the product positions that way. So they spend a couple of seconds every time they move a product just to update the system. And if they make some big change where like they move an entire shelf, something like that, then they rescan just that shelf.
Now, have you guys tried use cases like warehouses, like whether it's for, shipping, return, like any of that use cases?
Yes, and we do find that interesting, but we prioritized retail for scalability reasons, because very few people run 1,000 warehouses and can sign a deal for 1,000 warehouses with us. But our first retail enterprise customer signed up 1,000 locations with us. And our second one that we're closing in this next few weeks is signing up 2,000 locations with us. So we've focused on the faster scaling use case, but we certainly think that there are, and we've demonstrated that there are cool things you can do with spatial computing for warehouses as well. And when we have more time and money, we'll certainly go after that vertical as well. But again, since we're building an open protocol, you're also free to use the same protocol that we have to build something for warehouses yourself. We even have a grants program, actually. So if you feel that Auki is being too slow bringing this technology to warehouses, you can just apply for a grant and build it yourself.
Interesting. So let's talk about that developer program. Is it like open source technology, or like what are the limitations, and what like beyond this grant program, what do you guys do to encourage the developer adoption?
Yeah, it's open source. The underlying protocol that we built Cactus on and that we built Go to the like conference navigation, shopper navigation tool is open source. It's the protocol that we call the post mesh that makes the Auki network run. That's open source, and you can do whatever you like with it. You could fork it if you want. No one's done that yet, but you're fully free to. We're not going to stop you. And of course, you can build on the open source network that we've already deployed. It uses a Web3 token system to manage monetization, and you can just plug into that. And we have a grants program where if you want to make applications on top of it, we can give you money and credits to start building. The largest grant we've given to date was 250,000. So we can give pretty substantial grants. The smallest we gave was maybe a few $1,000s. But also we're setting up bounties now for people to contribute to the protocol itself. And if you see something on the GitHub that you feel could get done better, but there's no bounty, do a PR. And if we do something with it, we'll give you something for sure. So we want the post-mesh protocol to be for and by the people. So it's open source. We are just the open source stewards of this project.
Wow. This is the future for sure. Thank you for sharing that. Ian is asking, where do you see scale for this as a white box there are tons of stores and only one of you?
Well, we are already seeing partners spin up as implementation partners, right? So like, oh, we want to just go sell your solutions or build applications on top of the protocol. And we encourage both, right? We are not here to build a retail tech company, right? Like that's not who we are. We want to build the machine perception layer for the world. So we want to encourage as many people as possible to connect to this machine perception layer. We have partners across several continents now that are rolling this out with retail already, and we have new partners that are helping create new solutions for things like hospitality, but also building games and all kinds of fun things. One of the first things that was built by a third party was a shared augmented reality experience that helps raise awareness about coral reefs and marine life. We help them out both with engineering time and with credits and with money to get that built, and look forward to working with you guys as well. The question was also, how can you downline the training to ramp up to scale for Kroger, Whole Foods, etc.? So what we do, Ian, is we do not say we will go and install this in your 10,000 locations. Instead, what we do is we set up a handful of locations for you as part of the initial pilot to show you like how this is done, and then we create training materials for each specific enterprise customer, in the language that they want, with the branding that they want, and to the level of technical competence that they believe that their staff has. Or if they want to use a third-party implementation partner, then we help train them up. But it's not part of our business model to actually go set up these stores.
That's awesome. Yeah, Ian says we're working on a first responder footwear. It would be incredible layer to our shared tech stacks for frontline response. Awesome. Well, thank you.
Steve from our team is also here sharing the links for the grant and to the GitHub. Thank you, Tracy.
Awesome. Yes, and I know Felipe works for a wholesaler, so that's why I asked about the warehouse part. He would probably reach out on that side. Very cool, very interesting. So what about the hospitality? If you want to tease us a little bit about what you guys are launching, kind of what the use case looks like around that.
So we already have a fun little application that you can use for free called McKenna, where you can set up a domain and then decorate that space with McKenna. And as of just a few weeks ago, this also works app free, the same way you saw at AWE. So if you are a hotel or whatever, and you want to create some fun, immersive experience, either educational or inspirational, whatever, you can just do that. We have been positively delighted to find that even though this application is entirely free, and again, it is entirely free, you can go download it right now, you don't need us for anything. We still have several paying customers that pay us just to, I guess, I don't know why, but they pay us to help them get set up. So if you are interested in this kind of stuff, we get on average $10,000 per location for setting this up. So if you're young and hungry and you want to start making good money helping your local businesses set up McKenna implementations, it seems to us that there's good money to be made there. Again, it's fully free, right? Like, people can use it for free, but I guess people like the security of having someone come pat them on the back and set it up, and it just feels good, I guess.
Not everybody has the technical team to do this, but yeah, I'm thinking of some other folks that I should tag in this post that would benefit from this. Really cool use cases. Awesome. So now that we're kind of approaching towards the end of the show, What are your predictions for this space in general for the next 3 to 5 years? I know it's kind of far, but AR glasses are becoming the hot thing, and then robotics are, advancing really fast. But what do you think people are not talking about that they should talk about?
Hybrid robotics, meaning AI perception, but human locomotion and manipulation. So together with our partners at Mentra, a new fantastic smart glasses company out of San Francisco and Shenzhen, we are launching later this year a solution with their new Mentra Live video streaming glasses, essentially like the Meta Ray-Bans, except they are about 10 grams lighter and they have better battery and they're fully programmable and open source. The ability to take those glasses and plug to a neck-worn battery that gives you, 9 hours of uninterrupted streaming, and then have an AI see the world through your eyes and help you manage your work in the retail environment. So we've already demonstrated that this can help detect empty shelves and report them correctly in 3D space. So as you, the retail worker, walk through the aisle with your hands full, it's okay. You just look at the empty shelf and the glasses reports the empty shelf for you. And one of your colleagues gets a notification with precisely what is missing and where it is missing. And if they need it, they get AR guidance to there. We call this hybrid robotics, right? You have a human body that does the locomotion and the manipulation, but you get to add AI perception to the stack. And we think this is something that people aren't talking enough about. AI co-pilots for physical work. AI co-pilots for physical work.
Wow. And is it only the visual side that you guys are focused on, or are you capturing other types of data as well, like audio?
We are not capturing audio today. I mean, if you mean like, can you have audio interfaces where you talk to the AI? Yes, we do that. We actually just yesterday did our first internal demo of our MCP with voice activation. So you can talk to your glasses and ask, hey, Cactus, do we have any non-dairy alternatives to this product? And the AI will say, yeah, you do over here. I don't know if that qualifies as capturing audio, but we do allow for audio interfaces.
Okay, cool. And what would you say is next for Auki? What's the next major milestone, or what's that you're most excited about to build or achieve over the next coming year?
We're coming to the States over the next couple of months. We'll be setting up an office in the States soon in San Francisco, together with our friends at Mentra. And we're very excited about launching this mobile vision platform together with them. And we're already working with several of the largest robotics companies in China, which are, of course, the biggest robotics companies in the world, getting these robots to have a shared external sense of space. So our hope is that this is the ground floor of what will become the decentralized nervous system of AI, and within 20 years, the new robotic operating system.
Wow, really fascinating stuff. Thank you so much, Nils. Is there any topic that you would like to talk about that we haven't got to discuss yet? Any other exciting stuff or insights you want to share?
We build in public. So if you like keeping up with what we do, you can go to our discord.gg/Aukiverse. And typically every Friday or Saturday, we do a live stream kind of like this, where we talk about what we were up to this week, what progress we've made, what we're excited about. And you can watch those also live on X if you follow Auki Network on X. So yeah, we build in public. We hire from the community. One of our most hardcore badasses on the team is Tracy, who's here in the chat, who started out as a community member. So if you're interested in what we do, we're building in public. Come hang out.
That's amazing. Yes, I got a chance to chat with her. She is awesome. And what does Auki mean for those of us who are not from Asia?
We got the name Auki from a really old poem. So Auki is a word in old Proto-Norwegian, like in Old Norse. And back in those days, in Scandinavia and in England and Germany, there was a runic alphabet called the Futhark. And there was a poem, kind of like A is for apple, B is for banana, that helped people learn this alphabet, because it was both phonetic, like our alphabet is, but also pictographic, the way that Chinese is. So each character had an individual meaning. And in the Norwegian or Old Norse version of this poem, when you get to the letter M and the symbol Mader, which means humanity or magic, the line of the poem was Mader moldar Auki. And Mader, I just shared, means humanity or magic. Moldar means earth or stuff, matter. And Auki either means to augment something or to do something with everything you've got, which means that the sentence either means humanity is matter augmented, or humanity is matter doing everything it can. And that just really resonated with us.
Wow, really thoughtful, like everything else you've done. And as Ian said, you crushed it. Thank you so much, Nils. Thank you so much to our amazing audience. Unless you guys have any other question, now you know how to find them. Brian says meetups are popular in SF. Once you arrive, hope you host or are otherwise active in this meetup. And also someone asked, where's your office in Europe?
We don't have an office in Europe yet, but watch this space. We're having conversations with some friends here in Europe about setting something up together. So we don't have an office in Europe yet. Our only office today is in Hong Kong, and we will be setting up an office in, I believe, Hayes Valley, San Francisco later this year.
That's awesome. Congratulations on all the progress. And thanks again to our amazing audience. Thank you, Tracy, for putting all the links. So now everybody knows where to go to find the next steps. Thanks, Ian, Brian, and Shada and Felipe and all of the amazing folks, Jean, who joined us live and commented and asked questions and engaged with us. We're so grateful for you. And for those who will be watching the recording, thank you so much, Nils. This was amazing. And we're looking forward to staying in touch.
See you all soon.
Thank you. Have a great rest of your day, everyone. Bye.